here before, but I failed to introduce him.
Well, I didn't want to embarrass you.
I'm Kris Troup with Lebanon County Planning. With me this morning is Julie Cheyney. Julie's the county's community planner.
Wonderful.
May I go ahead?
Please do.
Thank you. With the passage of Act 13 of Pennsylvania, each county in Pennsylvania is receiving an annual stipend as a result of Marcellus gas drilling in the northern and western parts of the state. In 2012, Lebanon County received its first amount of money from the state, and again in 2013 we received our second allocation. And in 2013, the commissioners tasked Julie and I with coming up with a grant program to distribute those funds to appropriate projects throughout the community. And Julie did the majority of the work putting together the guidelines on the program. And we're happy to report that in November and December of last year, we received 13 applications for the funds. Those applications totaled just a little over $210,000. And in the account, we had just over $174,000 is what the county had received. So you can see we received a few more requests than we had dollars available. And if you'll indulge me for a minute, I'd like to read down through the requests, just give a very brief synopsis of the project and the amount of money that they requested. The first project, actually the first three projects, came from the Lebanon County Conservation District. The first one was the continuation of the Ag Land Preservation Program, $42,500. Because of some timing issues, the commissioners needed to take action on that particular application in January, and you have done so. So even though those dollars are coming from this fund, it's not part of the discussion today. The second project was the Envirothon. I think everyone is familiar with that environmental education program. They requested $10,000. The third project from the County Conservation District was rental assistance for the Conservation District at the Lebanon Valley Agricultural Center. The request was $23,800. Then we had a request from the Clarence Shock Governor Dick Trust for some deer fencing, brush management, and some trail system water control that they're going to be doing. That request was for $25,000. Lebanon Valley Conservancy submitted a request for the next phase of their Heritage Trail, which will be walking trail maps in Mount Gretna, Myerstown, and Schaeferstown. The request was for $9,000. Jonestown Boro requested $1,200 for construction of a picnic area at their existing boat launch in Jonestown. North Lebanon Township is constructing a new baseball field and updating some stormwater facilities at their municipal complex on Kimberlings Road. The request there was for $25,000. Annville Township has purchased some flood-damaged properties. They're in the process of converting those to soccer fields and a parking area. They requested $10,000. Northern Lebanon Recreation and Parks Commission requested $10,340 for the installation of 12 benches, a bike rack, and some signs at the Mill Street Park. The Lebanon Valley Rails to Trails requested $12,500 for the development of a master plan for what is being called the John H. Wengert Memorial Park. North Cornwall Township was the applicant for the North Cornwall Commons Trailhead, which would consist of 11 parking spaces, a portable restroom, and 3,300 feet of paved trail. That would be in conjunction with the North Cornwall Commons development. Their request was for $25,000. And the last two requests both come from South Lebanon Township. The first was for the purchase of a tractor to maintain fields and courts at South Hills Park. The request was for $12,018.50. And the second was also for South Hills Park to replace the fitness area equipment that's been there since the 1980s. That request was for $3,876. And again, those requests total $210,234.50. I've met individually with all three commissioners and gotten your recommendations on how to distribute the money. And at this point, I certainly would entertain any questions that you would have on the requests as they're presented.
Commissioner?
I have no questions.
Commissioner? Okay. All right. I guess my only question is, I know that your recommendations would allow a $15,000 balance. Is that sufficient to cover any contingencies that may crop up? And
In my estimation, that would cover any contingencies that we
Okay.
would have until we see the next allocation of money, which is usually in October. Jamie, is that correct?
and do we have any, do we receive any funds for administering this? Is there a percentage, or there's no allowance to take anything out for your administration to help cover costs?
No, we haven't.
Is it allowed?
I'm not aware. I'm not.
The legislation doesn't really address that at all.
Okay.
The legislation is very general and what the money can be used for, and it's I think, open to your interpretation.
I just know that you've put a lot of time and effort into it, and I didn't know if that was a permissible expense, if we were covering our expenses. If not, I mean, it's a good program. I just wondered if we could also take care of ourselves in the process. Okay, what are your wishes? Or did you have more to add?
Do you want me to go down through?
Sure, go ahead.
The consensus.
The
What we've
consensus, let's
actually
say,
done
of
then.
what the three commissioners have given me. Lebanon County Conservation District rental request for $23,800. At this point, the commissioners, two of the commissioners did not feel that this was met the guidelines of the program and are suggesting that this should not be funded. The other request that two of the commissioners indicated they didn't feel met the guidelines was the request for the tractor for South Hills Park to maintain those fields. The other recommendations that I've received in terms of adjustments to the amount requested would be for the Governor Dick Park for their deer fencing and brush management. They requested $25,000. It's been suggested that be reduced to $20,000. North Lebanon Township, with the construction of their ball field and stormwater facilities, they requested $25,000. It's been suggested that be reduced to $20,000. And the North Cornwall Commons Trailhead, again, a $25,000 request. It's been suggested that be reduced to $20,000. All the other projects would be funded as requested.
The only comments that I had were, I think the North Lebanon Township, no, I'm sorry, that's not the North Lebanon Township, the one for the maps in Jonestown, etc., having a little trouble reading some of these in the red. I don't know if you've done it already, but suggest to them that maybe apps would be the up-and-coming thing, and that way one card could be created with the different QR codes so that people who visit the area, or even locals, can put it onto their cell phones or smartphones, and as they're walking through town, they don't have to remember the map. They've got that cell phone with them all the time. I think that more and more people are using them. You see them in all the advertisements in the newspaper. You see them everywhere on posters and even on the web is a QR code. And I think that it would be important to develop that end of it. If they're thinking ahead or not, I don't know on that. And my other comment is, I know that Governor Dick has been struggling for a long time with the deer browse and destroying the new growth of trees. And I saw a video not long ago that was very intriguing, and I don't know if this would be something that would be detrimental to the area in general in the instance of population. But I guess 2 wolves or something were introduced to an area, and that had a whole effect on the ecosystem because the wolves were a natural predator of the deer, and it controlled the population naturally. So I don't know if that's something they've even looked into or if it wouldn't be appropriate for that area, but I mentioned those things that maybe they could be passed along to the applicants.
Certainly can.
Okay. All right, if there's no other comments, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the expenditures of the Marcellus Shale Grant as outlined by the planning department.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion or questions, comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Martin?
As you know, the governor tick issue, I've been in that on the ground floor